Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a video regarding what I am reading in quarantine. I have got a pile of books here that I have already read this year and a pile of books which I've got ready to read. What have I read this year? Every single book I have read this year I can recommend. I started off the year by reading this book. This book is called What Alice Forgot by Liane Moriarty. I love Liane Moriarty. I've read lots of her books and this one was definitely one of my favourites. It is basically about a girl called Alice and she gets amnesia from an accident that she has and she forgets, I think it's 10 years of her life. Now what I love about Liane Moriarty is her characters. She writes her book in a way that every chapter tends to be from a different character's point of view and it will switch between the same sort of, say, 4 or 5 characters. And this gives you different insight into how the characters are feeling and how it affects other people and how other people observe the characters that you've been reading about. And it's really thought-provoking into how we look at other people in our everyday lives and actually how we judge people as well. So I really like that style, and she tends to have elements of twists in her book as well that you have to keep reading to find something out which keeps being referenced. So this was one of my favourites by hers. Another one that I'd really recommend by her is The Husband's Secret. That is brilliant. That's probably my favourite one by her. Right, next book that I have read already this year. I don't actually have it on me because it belongs to my mum. So it is called The Secret Keeper by Kate Morton. This book was incredible. It is the best book I have read this year. Again, it has that same style of jumping about in different chapters. So it goes from different people's point of view and it also goes forwards and backwards in time. It was amazing. There were lots of twists and turns along the way. It was essentially about, there are some daughters and their mother unfortunately is coming close to passing away and they are uncovering secrets from the past. I feel that that is all I can say. Actually, the period of time that it goes back to is World War II. It was unbelievable. Read it. I'm not going to say any more, but read it. Very good book. Okay, next. I will always recommend Harry Potter. So I read majority of them this year. Typically when I start reading them at book 1 and go all the way through to the end. However, when I do this, I tend to stop about halfway through. So those last books, which are my favourite books, I don't get to them all that often. I've read the first 3-4 books far more than the last, which is frustrating because, like I said, the last books are the best books. I decided that I would start at Goblet of Fire. So I have read that one. And then I went on to Order of the Phoenix, which, whilst that is the biggest book, not much actually happens in it, really. It's a bit of a filler book. It's necessary, but it's definitely a bit of a filler book. Not much really goes on in that one. And then I read Half-Blood Prince, which is my favourite book. I love how it starts uncovering all the twists and turns which make Harry Potter what it is, and how there's all sorts of things that you've read about throughout the whole series and they make sense and come together and have explanations in this book. So this one is my absolute favourite. I then of course went on to read the final book, The Deathly Hallows, which, like Half-Blood Prince, this uncovers a lot of the secrets as well. So it is a brilliant book, but I do about the Half-Blood Prince. That's my favourite one by a long way. Okay, so we are pretty much getting to where I'm at now. The last book I have read is The Hunger Games. I have watched these films and I enjoyed the films. So then my mum gave me the 3 books as a gift and I had them sat on my bookshelf for years, literally years. Now I was a little bit skeptical about what this was going to be like. Obviously there's some very dark themes in The Hunger Games and I didn't know whether the book was going to be really horrible and grim. However, whilst obviously there are some not very nice things in it, it's done in a really good way. It's not gory for the sake of being gory. It was a very easy read, but the story is obviously gripping, so that's what gets you through to the end. So it was good. So currently I am reading Catching Fire, which is the second one. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is how far I am into it. I've read this much. I started this quite a long time ago, several weeks ago. I've not really reached for it. It's written obviously in the same way as the first one. It's written well, it's an easy read again. It's just not sucked me in as much, but I am going to sit down and read it. I'm going to continue to read it. And then the next book I will be reading, obviously, is the last one, Mockingjay. Now, judging by the films, I think this is probably the book that I'm looking forward to the most, because I feel like the second book is a bit samey to the first storyline, whereas this one, things go crazy in this one. So this is the next book I will be reading. So now we are going to move on to the section of the video where I look at the books that I have got lined up for quarantine. Obviously, I'll be starting with Mockingjay to finish off the set of the Hunger Games books. I then have a selection. I do not know what order I'm going to read them in yet. The first one is called Sister. Now, this one seems a little bit darker compared to some of the books that I read, but I do like aspects of thriller and drama. I just don't like them when they're overly horrible or gruesome for the sake of being gruesome. Let's read the blurb. Their bond was unbreakable, the truth was unimaginable. When Beatrice gets a frantic call in the middle of Sunday lunch to say that her younger sister Tess is missing, she boards the first flight home to London. But as she learns about the circumstances surrounding Tess's disappearance, she is stunned to discover how little she actually knows of her sister's life, and unprepared for the terrifying truths she must now face. The police, Beatrice's fiancé, and even their mother accept they have lost Tess, but Beatrice refuses to give up on her, so she embarks on a dangerous journey to discover the truth no matter the costs. I love a book with a twist in it. I love a book with a secret in it. That's what really prevents me from putting a book down, and that's when I literally read them in a day or two, when I'm desperate to find out what is going on. I especially like it when it leads you down a path where you think you're understanding the twist, and then right at the end it's like, whoa, hey, no, actually, this is the case, this is what it's about. And I feel like this book is going to be that. The author is Rosamund Lupton. I've never actually heard of her. Another book I have ready and waiting is called The Wildflowers. Tony and Althea Wilde, glamorous, argumentative, adulterous to the core. They were my parents, actors known by everyone. They gave our lives love and colour in a house by the sea, the house that sheltered my orphaned father when he was a boy. But the summer Mads arrived changed everything. She too had been abandoned, and my father understood why. We wildflowers took her in. My father was my hero. He gave us a golden childhood, but the past was always going to catch up with him. It comes for all of us, sooner or later. This is my story. I am Cordelia Wilde, a singer without a voice, a daughter without a father. Let me take you inside. So again, you might be getting a little bit of the theme of the books I like to read. Family secrets, a past that needs to be uncovered, all that kind of thing. So that is The Wildflowers by Harriet Evans. Again, I've not read anything by this author before, but it sounded good. And this was 50p, so you know, you gotta buy it. Next, we have Peter Abrams, Down the Rabbit Hole. Now this is a book of 3, I believe. Not gonna lie, it first caught my attention because it was called Down the Rabbit Hole, and I love Disney, and obviously that implies a kind of Alice in Wonderland theme. And then I saw on the cover that it said, I couldn't put it down, I'm hooked on Echo Falls. Stephen King. If he thinks it's good, if he thinks it's gripping, it's probably going to be. Blurb time. Welcome to Echo Falls, home of 1,000 secrets. Ingrid Levenhill, soccer player, actress extraordinaire and unwilling detective, is in the wrong place at the wrong time, or at least her soccer boots are. The police are on the hunt for a killer, but they're on the wrong track, and it's all Ingrid's fault. Like Alice in Wonderland, her life is spiralling out of control, turning Echo Falls into a nightmare. If only Ingrid could wake up. I think this sounds really good, and I'm always a fan of a book that comes in a set, because when I finish a book, whilst you feel a sense of accomplishment, I am always gutted because I don't want it to end. And so when I know that there is a whole load more in a series, that I love that. I really don't know what I'm going to read after the Hunger Games. These all sound fantastic. Final book that I've got lined up, ready and waiting, is The Tattooist of Auschwitz. I think this is quite a well-known book. This one is by Heather Morris. and it's based on a powerful true story. I do like a bit of that. I'm also very intrigued about World War II, always have been. I do like history. The war specifically, I am quite interested in. The blurb reads, "I tattooed a number on her arm, she tattooed her name on my heart. In 1942, Leil Sokolov, probably saying that wrong, I do apologise, arrived in Auschwitz. He was given the job of tattooing the prisoners marked for survival, scratching numbers into his fellow victims' arms in ink to create what would become one of the most potent symbols of the Holocaust." So yeah, that is my lineup of books, as well as the books that I have read, which again, I can recommend every single one of them. So if you're stuck for something to read, get on it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's any books which you have read and loved, please comment and let me know, because I'm always on the lookout for more authors which I enjoy. I will literally read one book from an author, love it, and continue to buy all the rest of their books. And also, if you read any of these, let me know what you thought of them. Thanks for watching. Please give us a like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Have a good rest of your day. Bye!